Welcome to True Health Live, your favorite public health podcast. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and audio on your favorite podcast platforms. If you're interested in public health, then this is the space for you. Shalom, peace, everyone. Shabbat shalom. Okay, never mind. I always get distracted.
Wrong day.
I did say it is the wrong day.
Good evening, everyone.
Right.
I am Yakira Eden, and this is True Health Live.
I totally got tongue-tied. I'm like,
holding head and everything, right?
Yes. Yo, Shalishi toast, everyone. I was about to say it again. Greetings. So today, or this evening, or this erev, we are going to be speaking about health matters. So just like most of the things, the comments and whatnot that you have, or questions that you have, like we'll be going over. And it's not going to be like necessarily like in depth unless like there are like questions and we kind of get, really deep into a topic, but just like pointing out a few things that people should take note of because we are coming to the end of the Gregorian calendar. And, a lot of the times, like a few things happen, like school, there's the beginning of school for the most part, right? There's the beginning of fall. People start going back into session if you're really into policy and things like that. But also it's a time where people prep for the next Gregorian year. So one of those things people prepping for is like open enrollment, right? Or getting any screenings done that you need to get done, so that when you step into the new Gregorian, like, what is it that people do? Resolutions, like, your New Year's resolutions, like you can start off with a bang. Like us, personally, like we do battle plans like this because it's almost like you going to battle for the Gregorian to make sure you can, hit all your markers and hit all your goals. And health should absolutely be one of them, not just like things like, how am I going to make money or I'm going to go on trips, it should be health first because health is what?
Well,
health. Health matters. And it's like got two meanings. We're talking about health matters because it's important. And we're talking about health matters.
You have to say it. You have to say it a little different. Yeah. When you think about, when you start thinking about not necessarily, what the stores, right? What the economy will tell you to think about as the year comes to a close. But if you actually, starting from now, don't get distracted. Choose to not be distracted by whatever happens in October and then what happens in November and what sort of food you should prepare for whatever's happening and then whatever happens in December. Be intentional about using that time to plan for your 2024, right? Or to evaluate where your family is as it pertains to health matters, whether it's the ones we discussed this evening or even going back and looking at previous podcasts, or checking out previous YouTube videos of the podcast. Do an assessment, take an inventory, like use even the thumbnail descriptions to kind of pull out, ideas for how you need to prioritize your 2024. So that's, something else that you can think about when exploring like your family health matters, because we tend to talk to you as individuals, but it's important that really we're speaking to the women, right? Who are focused on public health and health in general. And it's important that you all are focused on family. So whatever you're doing, consider it from that familial perspective.
Yeah, always. That's a good point because, and you know what? Let's kind of go back. Let's see, like, what are some of the things just in season 3 alone, like that we discussed, that would be things to review and kind of go back on as we, are moving forward in time. And we talked about what black hair care,
Yeah.
and the, I don't know, like storm that was happening around revelation, even though what when we dug into it, it actually was not new information, but it was, for some reason, people wanted to draw a light on it. Not that it's a bad thing, but
Mm-hmm.
this at this point it was like 10 years old information.
Yeah.
But the revelation, the old revelation, that
Relaxers. Yeah.
laxers and harsh hair care practices are actually a culprit, one of the culprits behind reproductive disease like cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, and fibroids. And this was proven by longitudinal studies,
Mm.
um, that that they're still getting a lot of research from. We talked about being prepared. That's a big one, especially, as we're talking about, preparing for the new year, being prepared when it comes to like emergencies. Is your family prepared? Do you have a plan for where you will go or what you will do or what's in place should you need it? Should there be a natural disaster? Whether, depending on what area of the globe you live in, if it's a flood, the earthquake. And granted, yes, there are some things you may not be able to prepare for in that way because, like, maybe you're not inside the home at that particular moment. But what are the contingencies that you have in place? Peace, everyone. Peace, Naya. Peace, Sequoia.
Yes. Peace.
Um, yeah, what are the contingencies you have in place? What are your human resources?
Yeah. And you know what? What are your resources? That to me connects even with how are you preparing for winter, right? So again, focusing on 2024, we spoke about food and the toxins that lie in the food that we eat. So like consider how you're going to prepare food and whether you can get some items locally, right? And try to stick with seasonal goods as far as your produce so that you can get some fresh produce. Um, I know I particularly enjoyed the dance segment and just exploring movement because, during the winter months, so you may want to find an online class, or if you can get out and
Yeah.
get to an actual class, take take at least a class that's going to ensure that you're moving your body and staying healthy and recalibrating. And yeah, I think that in and of itself, right? And that doesn't even cover the entire season, but just those segments alone sends you on a fantastic journey of planning planning for the new year.
Yeah. What was another one? I feel like this is bad. Um, Another one. Let's see. Let's see. We talked about spirituality. This was regarding, that was episode 4. Um, and that was talking about your book that came out, and
Yeah.
that, like, you know what? That's a good one. Because there has been like so much death recently, and I think sometimes like it's important to take a pause and take a beat, right? And not only look at like how we can, the tangible things that make us that keep us healthy, or that keep us focused on like a road of health or a path toward being more healthy. And when I say tangible, I mean like and they're not just tangible. How do I say this? The physical things. That's the better way to say it. Like the physical things, like, oh, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to eat right. But what about like the mentality? What about our spirituality? Like, what are the steps that you're taking? Are you taking inventory of what you're doing to keep yourself spiritually healthy and mentally healthy? So, I implore everybody to go back to episode 4 of this season, and look at that. And also, the book is on Amazon.
Yes, Scriptural Guide to Overcoming 7 Mental Ailments by Precious Yakira Eden Stepney is available on Amazon. So you can order a book or download the Kindle version. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. We talked about workplace toxicity.
We sure did. That was a good one.
That one, workplace toxicity. And it's like, let's be honest. Let's be honest about how we all have
The
behaved. Nobody,
microaggressions and the yeah.
nobody's exempt. We have been.
Mhm.
Well, I will say this one thing that I have never done, and will never do, because I feel like like it kind of props up people who eat other people's lunch. That's toxic.
I don't
I,
know what that is
yeah, what is
disgusting. I don't know about
wow?
I mean, that's
But
just
it creates
nasty.
a toxic, work because
But who
it kind of victimizes, and maybe I'm being a little
listen, you
about
just buy a daggone
salmon.
really, I mean, it is 2023. You can purchase a really nice insulated thermos that keeps your hot food hot and your cold food cold, and you don't put it in a public
In the
refrigerator.
right.
That because that goes beyond workplace toxicity. That is just disgusting. And
Disgusting.
whenever I see those the note going back and forth like don't eat my food, I'm gonna eat it every time, it's like
Wait, have you seen that in
I
person?
saw one that
Like,
said it was like a fight, like literally, don't do this. Yes, I'm gonna eat it. Yeah, it's like no, don't do it. I know who you are. Blah blah blah. There's like this whole long back and forth conversation, and I don't know if it was real or not, but it seemed if it wasn't real, I hope that nobody actually really did experience that to make it a little funny post. But yeah, there's all sorts of thieving foodies out there. But also you don't know if it was someone's leftovers, like from the previous evening that they have, you know. I don't
and
know.
that kind of goes into like, be careful who you eat from. I'm very like,
Right.
um, about like potlucks and things like that, like when people are cooking in their houses, because like, people cook a different way. Like, for example, I know when I'm cooking for myself, I'll taste it. When you're the cook, you have to taste test or whatever. But if it's just me, I don't have like a separate spoon. Of course, if I'm cooking for someone else, like I'll, have my little taste cup and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But sometimes like you don't know what people are doing. Maybe they don't do that, and I'm just like, so it's like similar. Like, why would you eat some? And especially if it wasn't necessarily prepared with it's supposed to be for other people in mind.
Listen, if
You
you are stealing people's food, you think there's any level of concern about was this last night's leftovers? Either they're just, yeah, there's some personnel. Yeah, I don't even, it's upsetting me just talking about it. I'm like, that is just beyond disgusting. I
yeah,
mean, right.
but
I couldn't even say like you don't have food, like you're working because this is happening in offices. So
and
yeah,
and
just
it's
pack a lunch.
unhealthy. You don't know what's in it. Like, you could be allergic to something that's in it, so it's unhealthy. It's unsanitary, and it's
You're
just
still
not.
thinking about the thief. They don't
I,
care about alert. If it has peanuts in it, then you're like, you might have a reaction. No, they're a thief.
right, you get what
She's
you
so
deserve.
sweet. She's concerned. She's
Concern.
like, come on, they might, taste it with their own spoon. No, that's
Yeah,
I'm concerned for the person being stolen from.
person.
Keep your
So,
stuff next to you. Get a proper
yeah,
insulated thermos
yeah,
and
and
you'll be
those
fine.
feel good. Those were like one of them. I had the best purchase, like one of the best purchases. I was like, I get it. I get it. Like, this is awesome. It stays cold, hot stays hot.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Those are
all
perfect
right.
children for lunches. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you don't be toxic in the workplace. Toxic.
Right.
What was another one? Oh,
But wait. But as
oh,
far as how you can, I want to infuse it with the, coming to that year end close.
yeah.
And we're being intentional about this because don't wait until the New Year's resolution time to
Yeah.
plan out what you're going to do in the new year, right? Take this last quarter of this year to evaluate any goals that you may have set for yourself, right? And really do that checks and balance carry over for next year. But also as far as the toxic workplace, perhaps you're setting the intention to revamp the resume, update the LinkedIn. These are all parts of mental health, right? And if your mental health, your physical health, just health altogether. This is a health matter because your health
Yeah.
matters.
Good point.
So
Really good.
go ahead and work that in as well, right? Work out, um, is this truly where I want to be, right? And if it isn't, identify what'll help get you to where you do want to
Yeah.
be, whether that's starting your own business or just stepping into a different employment opportunity. But identify that and see how just having a plan will help your overall health and wellness.
Yeah, like I will say, you know what? Confession, story time. Like, so when we did our battle plans, like it was good. It felt good to like, okay, I got a game plan. Did I hit every marker? No. However, now I can go back and see, okay, what did I hit? What did I miss? Was I realistic about what was on the battle plan and like the time that I could get it done? Maybe it's, scale it back and like say I'm going to hit these two or these three big milestones and not try to hit all these things, at once. And then what were the small things? And I say small because it wasn't like a big thing. Like, for example, I'll share, I had the goal of reading one book a month. I got two of the books done, maybe one and a half.
They were
I don't
colossal. They were colossal, y'all. Like
I don't even know if I have an excuse. But I did add one that was given, that was provided from the Chief of Your podcast, Stolen Focus. I finished it. It was actually very, 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 very good. And it went deeper than what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more about like, this is how the internet and social media is
right.
taking our attention, but it went way deep into things that we talk about here, like, the food we eat and how that steals focus, and talked about, children and youth being diagnosed with ADD or ADHD unnecessarily as well, because, no one actually took the time to dive into the history of why, it's just like, let's just put a quick dive
Right.
because I don't want to
Right.
focus on what's really happening right now. So, like, for those of you who are listening, like, very good book, Stolen Focus. I can't remember the author right now, but if any of you in the chat know the author, you can put it in and I'll read it out loud. But yeah, very good book. So we'll see. We'll see. We have 2.5 months, so we'll see what we get with the books. But as you hear Edith said, like, it is a very good time to like take an assessment of where you are and where you want to be and write that plan. Maybe it's just a year plan, maybe it's a 3-year plan, maybe it's a 5-year plan, but that also goes into your health, because a lot of the times we're stressed, and we have talked about stress on this show before. And sometimes we're stressed because we feel like we don't have enough time to do stuff. And a lot of times we don't have that time because we're not planning adequately,
We're
or
not managing our time.
not
Right. Right. Properly.
right. And so, and just someone who is very, very, has a very, very difficult time, like managing time sometimes when it comes to like, it's interesting, like you can do things for work, but when it comes to like your own things that you want to do, sometimes you can be overwhelmed, and it's really hard to like focus on like what it is that you need to do to get your own projects,
Right.
off the ground.
Right.
Spend so much time doing things for other people, and I get it, because you people have to make a living, you have to make a livelihood, and that's fine. But figure out a way, which was really good for me this year, figure out a way to make that calendar integrate with everything that you have to do.
Exactly.
It should be holistic, and you cannot minimize your own things, for one entity. So I'll say it like
You know
that.
what? That I think that's such an important, thing for people to consider, because what we're talking about is prioritizing yourself, right? Like prioritizing what's most important. I think oh, I was speaking to another sister earlier, and it's like when you happen to stone focus, when you happen to, oh, and peace, Ima Akuya, when you happen
Yeah.
to go on a job interview and they ask you, so what interests you about this position? And it's like, well, I haven't quite figured out like how to not have to work, right? In this fashion. And so that's never the answer, but the
Let it sit, honey.
reality is, right, right. It's like
What if I actually answer honestly?
like but don't we all know, like, I mean, you can really love what you do and there are many who will
This
do
is
it
true.
for free, but that's not usually why you're applying for a job, right? So but there's that, that need, but then we also want to create a space to set your own priorities and make sure you're working that into the agenda, because as you pointed out, it is so difficult to be intentional about doing the work for yourself. So at least if you put that reminder on the calendar, if you know you have that plan, right? Whether you call it a battle plan or you just have your, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Just being able to set those goals for yourself and really make a time, even in Chief Yuya's segments on YouTube, the Command the Day segments, right, on Honor Life Global's YouTube channel. The whole point of commanding the day is carving out some time, preferably in the early dawning, to just set your plan for the day, and be intentional about how you're going to command that day, right? And lead it off doing what is going to feed and nourish yourself. Because then you're starting it off in a more healthy and balanced fashion, as opposed to jumping out of bed. Who do I need to feed? What employer do I need to speed through traffic to get to the right, right in bed, about to
Immediately.
bust your head open, get a concussion, right? None of that is what, what we want to do at 5, 6, 7 in the dawning. So think about those things as well, right?
Yeah.
We should do like a it would be cool to do like a segment where we talk more about battle planning and like what that looks like. That would be kind of fun. And then, maybe we'll have a year-end challenge or something.
How
Yeah.
about we do that? We can rearrange and we can do that for November. So our
Yeah.
next show is actually October 31st, so in Two Strongs. So we will take our last two shows and do like Daniel platting. Daniel platting.
That is so
Daniel platting.
interesting.
Daniel platting. I gotta write that down because I have to see, because
Mm,
both of those are words actually.
yes,
But
it is.
Daniel
Not the
platting.
words you wanted, but
That's what I wanted, but I will. I have to. All right, I made a note. That's fine. I made a note. We'll figure out what that meant. Battle planning. And we'll talk about like how to do it. And then we'll do a challenge and see where people are. And take a. We are going to take a note out of Chief's book.
yeah.
We're going to copycat a little bit. We're going to copycat
A lot of it. A lot of
a
it.
lot
A
of
lot of it.
it.
Yeah. I was even thinking we just point to last year's podcast and just say, so see, I was gonna give all the credits. What is the disclaimer right there?
I gave the credit. I'm being honest. I'm gonna steal it. We're gonna do it. Battle plan.
Love letters and all. We're doing a whole thing.
Oh, you was thinking the challenge. Oh,
That's what I was saying. Yeah, I was thinking just have like some sort. Yes, we're gonna talk.
We'll
We're
make
gonna
our own.
talk.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we'll talk.
Okay. But we'll do like battle planning. Like, so you know what? So we'll put in the description box like some of the things that are helpful to put in your battle plan. Like, what are your health goals?
Themes. Yeah.
Right, your themes. Like, what are your health goals? What are your relationship goals? And we talked about what relationship roles last strong, too
Yeah.
strong.
Too
So
strong. Yeah.
it's not just like you and your into the partner that you're intimate with. it's like all the different relationships that you have. You know, how are you going to have better relationship with your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your auntie, your
Your
community,
colleagues, yeah.
colleagues, all of it is included. So like those are the things that you want to put in. What's another one? Like business goals, finance.
Mhm. Your financial goals, right? Which requires that you actually do an assessment on where you are, particularly with goals like finance and health, right? Where even looking at your previous year's labs and just doing setting some goals around, it's so easy to pick a weight goal, right?
Yeah,
But
I,
oftentimes you find there are other things going on with our health. And yes, if we're addressing the weight, that's one component, but you still need to follow up medically for any issues that there may be. So, set or bringing your cholesterol levels down, or bringing your, whatever levels that are up or down or anywhere, askew, bringing those on target and actually like using that. I would say even thinking about how you can use that SMART goals model to lay out, and we can get into that as well, what those are and how you can do planning, goal planning using SMART goals.
yeah, yeah. And it, you know what? Something that you said, it reminded me of so part of what I do also, like when it comes to health, I, as many people know, I do think that um crafting is a big part of health, right? And I actually, but there are some pieces of that I do as well. Like if I'm going to um sell my pieces. Why? What's wrong with me and words today? And I'm gonna sell some of my pieces. So what I had to do was like, figure out like, okay, well, what am I gonna sell them for? And some people be like, well, easy. Like, what did the materials cost, and what is your time worth? And I was having a very difficult time figuring out like what my time was worth. And so I found. And so all the times, like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's so many tools out there that you can use. So I actually found someone who created a spreadsheet, a worksheet that helps to calculate, what you would like your pricing to be like for your crafts or whatever. But what it actually helped me do, like aside from like figuring out, oh, how much I'm going to charge for this, was figuring out the time, because I was forced to, really look at how much time I was actually dedicating
Spending.
everything. And so it's like you can say like, well, I know I work like 30 hours a week or 40 hours a week or 20 hours a week, but
Mhm.
then you have how many hours, in that week, that in that strong to do something else. And so for those of you who observe Sabbath, if we're looking at like yes, even if you may have like a 9 to 5 job, but like we know like our work starts on first day. Yom Rishon,
Mhm.
you
Yep.
have 6 days to get everything done. And I think that adds up to like 144 or 145 hours total. So work from there. You can start from there. Like how many hours do you actually have in a week? How many do you need for sleep? How
Right.
many, and figure out like, how to allocate all of that. And somebody might be saying, well, then there's my time is allocated for everything. Add in your play. Add your playtime into that as well. And so then that, so you are making sure that you have dedicated time for yourself, for the things that you have to do work, and also for the things where you can relax, for the things where you can take care of your mental and your spiritual. So, and your physical.
Right, right. And the more regularly you do that, then it becomes the habit, right? Then it's less likely that you can get the work done, right? The employer's work done and not your personal work, because then it's already kind of set into the program that my personal stuff is the priority, especially for those who aren't accustomed to doing that at all, right?
Yeah.
Because you have that as a practice, and you're still saying, and I definitely can also say yes, it's a challenge as well to say, okay, I have some time. Like, why am I not getting these things done? And
Yeah.
if there was an external entity requiring it, it's kind of like it would have been done. And so
Yeah.
sometimes that's where you have to kind of work it in. And I like that calculator. That sounds really cool. Particularly because I know for me, the dawning hours. if there is a time that I wake up at 3 or 4, I'm kind of like, this is my time. Like it's guaranteed instead of my old, which I still sometimes do. I'm just going to go back to sleep until it's time to, get myself together, get the youth together. But what I've been doing, especially lately, um, actually using that time to do something creative, like to get up and actually play in my pottery, or like do some extra fun like journaling activity, because it's dark and it's quiet and there's nothing happening. um
Mm,
and so for me that's like prime time.
yeah.
Or for Ema time. So yeah. So calculating every hour and being able to particularly quantify like your time, that's important.
Yeah, it is. And I know like for me, like that when I do and when I am able to get up, it's like it's just gonna be quiet. It's just gonna be quiet. I don't want like I'll have some tea and it'll just be quiet. Because there will be enough noise to deal with, once the sun comes up, and like because that's when I have to move with everybody else's time and things are open, so there's a
Right.
so
Make that your peace and serenity time. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know another thing that we wanted to touch on was, we've spoken so much, like, right, we've moved straight into winter and we're not there yet, right? We just got into autumn. But just preparing for and thinking about how you can combat, if you're at all impacted by the change of season, right? The change of weather, the darkness. So seasonal affective disorder is a real thing. And even just having like blues, or just kind of wanting to go in, which isn't even a bad thing. That's organically and naturally what your body should want to do. and
Mhm.
and even thinking about, how stigmatizing it is to say, I have this challenge during the winter colder months because I live, let's say, in the Northeast and it gets really cold. Um, as opposed to, I am outside of my natural environment, right? Why do I have to go outside when it's still dark? But even moving beyond the why do I, just preparing for it.
Yeah.
There's specific lighting that you can bring into your home to help, and your office, to help manage some of what you experienced during that season. You
Yeah.
can bring your plants in and love on them and nurture them, and use that as a way to fluff yourself up a little bit.
Yeah.
And the last one I'll say is movement, movement, movement,
I
movement.
movement. I'm like, sure, movement. Okay.
What you
I bet
think?
movement. Like
What is
I don't know. That's what I
that?
mhm.
Movement. Move your body.
Like maybe it's something with cows. Okay.
Oh,
Movement. But no, but you're right.
move
Like
your
this is that
body.
go to go in, it's that time of darkness. And if someone's listening to that, you can please put like a podcast that they can kind of meditate on. That would be helpful. I think it's called the winter solstice. If you're listening. If not, we'll put it in the description box.
Mhm.
No, but the part about like seasonal affect is, I feel like we may have chatted about that. So also go back to season one, because I think we had
Yes.
a conversation about a little more in depth about seasonal affect disorder and like mental health and whatnot. Because as we always say, it's just as vital as physical health, and it's crucial to address it openly, address it at all, just addressing it. Period. Whether it's stress, anxiety, depression, if it's something that you need to seek help for, do that. If you're not one of those people that need to seek help, then take that time to have some self-love, some self-care, like real self-care, and not selfish care,
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say, if you if you're impacted by the colder weather, right, or the early darkness, challenge yourself to actually create a routine where you're getting the sun when the sun is out, right? Like, even though it may be cold, take some time for a brisk walk during your lunch break. If you're in the office, if you're remote, you better take a few minutes whenever a meeting breaks early. Throw your coat on, put on your heavy slippers, even if you just go sit on your porch, and try to get out into the sun, especially for those of us who are melanin dominant. Getting vitamin D is vital, 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 vital. It contributes to so many other health challenges that we often don't even recognize. So.
Yeah, yeah. So I was up north yesterday, and I was very nervous because I was like, "Oh my God, it's gonna be so cold," because it's getting colder everywhere, especially like on the East Coast. And I was like, "I'm not ready. I'm not ready for the hawk. I'm not ready." But I was like, "Well, let me check the weather," and it wasn't that bad, but it was still brisk, but not not winter cold.
Right.
And there was this moment where I was outside and the sun came out from behind a cloud. Best feeling
Of
ever.
course. It like kisses your
Best feeling.
face and warms
You
you
know how you
up, right?
best feeling ever. And I
Uh-huh.
think several of us are like, that feels so good. Like, people we think the same thing. You're like, that feels so good.
Yes.
Feels so
Yes.
good. We are meant to be a people of the sun.
We are indeed. Indeed. So make sure you're getting that. Make sure you're getting that. Yeah.
It is vital, like you said, to take it. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to bring up, because and I said it earlier, was like, this time of year, for those of you who have a traditional or conventional 9 to 5, whether you're hybrid, remote, whatever, this is time where you're getting emails from HR about open enrollment. But, open enrollment is such for a lot of people, not just those who might have health insurance, for example, through their jobs, but also those who have to use the marketplace, because as we know, we do have the Affordable Care Act that was passed in 2010, and not everybody is on that scale or that spectrum to be able to be eligible for Medicaid. And just in plain terms, they're not poor enough to be able to be eligible for Medicaid, but they also don't make the same amount of money. They don't make enough money to have some adequate
A
insurance sometimes,
commercial. Right.
right?
Right.
So
Mhm.
so the marketplace is supposed to be, and it's done by state, and it is, and this is specifically for people who are in the U.S. Because I think some other people, you guys are smart, but a lot of people.
That was the cutest disclaimer ever.
What? Because I mean,
Do you mean their governments is smart because they figured out how to?
yeah.
Okay.
Like, you don't have this problem,
Right.
but.
It's free. It's free over there. I don't.
So, but like I was saying, for those of you who are in the U.S. and working in the U.S., if you don't, just be, oh, thank you, Sean Sullivan. Thank you for listening.
Mhm.
Make sure you take advantage of open enrollment. Oh, and sometimes you don't even have to wait for this time of year if you have a significant life change, and that's usually the case for any time of year. But if you have a significant life change and also this time of year is open
Right.
enrollment, visit the healthcare marketplace in your state. One easy place to go is just healthcare.gov, which is the federal site, and you can find out where you need to go for whatever state you live in, and you can look at some of the plans that they have that they have available, and you can pick the one that's better for your wallet and for your family and based on whatever.
Right. And you know what? Even that's an interesting thing. I was thinking about, well, what, I'm always thinking about the tip, right? Like, what can people write down? Calendar, right? So let's think about it. Unless you have a significant life change, which would be, I know, if you are married, have a child, change employers or go like change employment status. There may
Yeah.
be one or two more, but the criteria is really, really, really like the window is really narrow to get in outside of this open enrollment period. But let's consider why there would be just a small window of a quarter, right? Because it's really just the last quarter of the year for you to make a decision about your health insurance. That's really unfortunate when you consider that other countries have like free healthcare, right, for its citizens. But what you can do is be sure to use technology just a little bit. Set a reminder in your calendar to actually remember to do this again next year so that you don't miss that window. Because I just think about all the people who kind of catch the wave late. So it's January and they're uninsured and they missed the open enrollment window because they don't even they're not even aware, or they become aware
Yeah.
after the fact. So share this information, of course, share these podcasts, but also mark your calendar for next year so that you know exactly,
When
own your time. Again,
yeah.
another way of owning your time.
Yeah, because some of you may have maybe you had a lifestyle change where you are no longer doing the 9 to 5, and maybe you have decided like this is my time to strike out and do my own thing, and you're gonna go and find private insurance. Take your time, and because I have been there, it's not cheap, like
No, it is not. No,
it's
it is
not
not.
cheaper than Cobra, but it's not cheap. It's still
Mm.
not. So, take your time and look for the plan and think about like what you actually need, what your health issues are. Yes, there's a way you can help Mr. Sullivan, or you can definitely share this podcast. That's how you can help. Share it, spread it, like, share, and subscribe. That's the way you can help and share the information that you're hearing now regarding open enrollment, mental health, time management,
Oh
setting
yeah.
plan, being committed to making your time as well, and not just using one entity's time as your life.
Right.
We get it. That might be your livelihood, but it is not your life. Um, uh, Rewatch some of the episodes.
Always do that.
Always like, share, and subscribe.
Comment, yes.
There was something else that I wanted. Speaking of open enrollment and things that are happening, like marking your calendars. We did mention this a little bit during our last episode, but it is October, so I'll say it again. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So for you, ladies, and this is both to men and women, but when it comes to the mammograms, like ladies, make sure that you are getting your annual mammogram. Um, for those of you, we just talked about like insurance, and for those of you who maybe you having issues where you maybe can't afford it, you don't have it. Most city or county health departments have programs where they give mammograms for free. Mm-hmm. So check into your local health department to find out if they have a program where you can get your annual mammogram. It is worth it. And for those of you, some of you are like, I don't want that radiation. I totally get it. I understand, and this is why we have the show, because you should be able to make informed decisions about your health. If that's the case, you should be here with it. Make sure
And that's
doing
regularly. That's regularly, right?
Make
Because
sure you
the mass and the tissue around the breast changes throughout your cycle, throughout the month, depending on where you are in your cycle. So you want to get familiar with the landscape so that you'll notice when there's a change, if there's ever a change.
If there's a change. And a key is like symmetry. So maybe you feel something on one side. Check to see if it's on the other side, because that may be something it might be normal for you. And if you can't tell, then make sure you get to a professional, a clinician who can help you with that information. Yes, it is, but that's not on the discussion right now. However, we do have an area where if there's a discussion issue that you want to talk about, so I see like autism being a question. So definitely you can go to truehealthlive.com. why did I say that? Not TrueHealthLive.com. You can go to
I'm
DejaStelly.com.
like, really? That's a new one.
You can go to DejaStelly.com and then go to the podcast webpage, and then you can actually, sign up to discuss a topic if you would like to discuss a topic. And we'll definitely, make sure that we put that on the roster to speak about. And that's for any of you, all of you who are in the room today. And that's like, I think that's like what we say in our closing. If there's a topic that you would like to discuss, you can email truehealthlive@gmail.com. You can
Yes.
go to the website. You can go to the website and also put it in there as a suggestion as well. So, but we see you. That's on the scale, and we can definitely have a guest on and talk about, some of the things about autism. That is definitely an important topic to talk about, and children who are on the spectrum, and what that looks like for parents, family members, etc. Thank you. Give thanks in the support open enrollment period for those in need of Medicare. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So those are like some very important things that you need to be aware of. And I'll go back to the breast cancer awareness, because we always say like men and women both suffer from breast cancer. Well, women more so than men, but men, there are cases of men who have suffered from breast cancer. It's interestingly enough, when I found out, I had what do you call it, internship? Because I wanted to say work study because it was in college. So I had it was like I was using it as both like an internship and works. I don't know, whatever.
Okay.
Worked in this hematology and oncology clinic, and so this is mostly lymphomas or other blood cancer. So these are not necessarily like solid tumors. And however, one of the doctors, I remember like being there like after hours one day, and his nurse was hooking him up to the IV. And I was just like, what's going on here? Like, what's happening? And then I remember like someone telling me like, yeah, he has breast cancer. And I'm like, that's crazy. And I looked at her and she's like, yes, men can get breast cancer too. And that's when I found out. I was like 19, I want to say 19 or 20.
Yeah.
But not know like, that was something that was, possible. Like, but they would have breast tissue as well. They don't have mammary glands like women,
Right.
but they still have tissue there, and there can, and especially with what we eat and all the things that we're plagued with, tumors can form in any part of the body.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. And I don't know. I didn't go far enough to look and to see like if the treatment was the same, because men and women are vastly different when it comes biologically. But because he probably could take more of something than a woman, and vice versa. So, but yeah, he was getting treatment. So that's when I learned that men could get breast cancer too. So like it is an issue that affects both men and women. Like I said, women more than men, because we do tend to focus on women because that's who does have a higher prevalence rate of breast cancer, but both get it. But when I'm talking about these mammograms, ladies, make sure you're going to get them. And like I said, like don't let people deter you because like, oh, it's uncomfortable. We all have different breast tissue, different densities, different levels of pain. Go get it. Is there a level of discomfort? Absolutely. I'm not gonna lie. There's a level of discomfort physically as well as like mentally, because you're literally standing there with all your business out in front of another person who may not. So, but in the end, it's worth it. And I did get my results back, because I think by the time we had the show, I did not have my results back. So I will share. I'm free and clear. Thank y'all. So, and it's always good. Like then when it's good to know.
Exactly.
Yeah. What else? I think that was it. I think that's all I had. I'll turn it to the chat, for a little bit. What are some of your health matters? And we'll, turn it to the chat just on these last 10 minutes. And I'm going to go back to the chat real quick while we wait. I'll say it again. So what were some of your health matters, or some health matters that, kind of came up in your mental space that you might want to chat about here today?
Right.
Last and while we wait for those answers, I'll go back to the chat. And so yes, Akuya Visa says Chief Yuya has a good video on winter solstice.
Yeah,
Yes.
really good.
We're
Really,
still waiting for the link.
really.
Still waiting for the link.
Our links just may be otherwise occupied because it would have been
so.
there by now, right?
I think Akuya Visa says she also just did a study on are you talking about the Affordable Care Act? And you are welcome to share. So the link is also in the chat for those of you who might want to join to talk about like health matters. That's the topic today. Some health matters that are really like important to you. They're all important, but we're gonna open up the floor to y'all. And so while we wait for that, I'm gonna just do like a quick recap of some of the things that we talked about. Like we're in the fall, but we're headed into that winter, right? That winter solstice, that darkness, that time for us to kind of go in and rest so that we can rejuvenate when the new year comes, and that's really the spring. But
yes, it is.
For those of you who go by the calendar year, for the Gregorian, which is fine. So some things to think about, because a lot of people, like, this is the time where they, think about, oh, New Year's resolution and blah, blah, blah. And some things we talked about was like rewatch some of the episodes. Think about like your time management. That's key, because that helps you with health. We want to make sure that we are stress-free. I mean, it's 2024, but it would have rhymed better if it's stress-free. But it's not stress-free by the end of 23. I don't know.
That's, you see, you should have been
stress no more in 24.
That's
how we're going to do it.
Congratulations. You made it work.
Stress no more in 24. Get that time management under control. Set your intention, set your goals for what it is you want to accomplish in the next. Yeah. Be mindful of the seasons and how that affects you as well. Make sure you're looking up open enrollment if it's something that you need.
That's right.
That affects you. And make sure you're, checking your breast in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Make sure you're checking your breast. Okay. So if there are no comments, we're going to head on out of here. And so thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back in 2 Strong. And we're going to start, because the next one is 10:31. Yeah. And so start that to use, like, how we battle plan, like how we battle plan for health.
That's right.
How we battle plan. So give thanks.
So that we can do what? So we can do what in 2024?
Stress no more in 2024.
I just needed, it was the fingers for me. I don't know who rhymes like this, but yeah.
Oh wait, we have something.
Something in. What's this?
Eye contact. Look me in the eye. Interesting. I'm not sure. Even grab my chin. Oh well, I'm sorry about that. I'm very sorry.
Oh wow.
That. That's a part of people not understanding personal space. And so maybe that's something we can talk about. So I think, Sean Sullivan, you've given us like some really good we can add to the roster. Definitely we'll have someone talk about autism. And I feel like we have had a discussion about that in the previous season. So definitely go back and watch. And as you said before, subscribe. And then we'll also talk about personal space.
And even body language, right? Because eye contact is such a cultural,
it is
a cultural thing. There are certain cultures where eye contact is not a sign of respect. And then there are others where, even here, there are certain environments where you want to, in a job interview, and certain, if you're in a business meeting, you want to make sure you are leading with eye contact. But there may be other environments where it's not necessarily so. So just, that's a great topic as well. Thank you for sharing it.
Thank you for that. So we're gonna head on out of here. For those of you who are watching, we encourage you to have a stress-free evening. I think, do we have art this evening? So you can check out Master Menulek on YouTube. .com/ at Master Menulek and catch his newest art
Elementals.
training. I'm like, it's like, right,
Art
elemental
training. Mm-hmm.
like information on like different pieces of art and why and how and what and where and when, and sometimes we even get to do it with him. So I encourage you to watch it tonight and even start from the beginning so you can like work with it,
Follow along. Yeah.
follow along and like and see your own progress. So that's youtube.com at / Master Menulek, and you can follow that. And he goes live in about 4 minutes. So with that, we're going to head on out of here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Peace. Have a good evening. Lila Toe.